Why 37% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. Imagine waking up tomorrow to a flat tire, a broken tooth, or a busted water heater. Now, imagine having less than $400 in your bank account to fix it. That is not a nightmare. That is the daily reality for over 120 million Americans right now. And the truth behind this crisis will genuinely shock you. Stay with us, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss stories like this one. According to a major Federal Reserve survey, 37% of Americans lack enough money to cover a $400 emergency expense. That is not a small, forgotten group living on the margins. That is more than 1 in 3 people you pass on the street every single day. Despite signs of economic recovery and slowing inflation, more than a third of Americans are just one surprise car repair, medical bill, or housing crisis away from serious financial stress. Think about that number. $400. That is less than most people spend eating out in a month. Yet for tens of millions, it is completely out of reach. When the Fed asked Americans about non-emergency expenses, 18% said the largest expense they could cover using only savings was under $100. Under $100. That wouldn't even cover an urgent care visit in most American cities. The financial floor has completely collapsed beneath a massive portion of the population. For some Americans, this reflects that they simply do not have $400 on hand. For others, it means turning to credit cards, borrowing, or liquidating whatever they have left. And the options people turn to are even more alarming than the problem itself. Research found that 27% of survey respondents would have to borrow money or sell something to cover a $400 emergency, while 12% said they could not cover it at all by any means. 12% of Americans, roughly 30 million people, cannot cover a $400 emergency, no matter what they do. That is not poverty on paper. That is poverty in practice. Additionally, 17% of U.S. adults are unable to pay all of their bills in full every single month, and 30% of families must cope with income that varies unpredictably from month to month. This volatility makes saving nearly impossible. When you don't know what you'll earn next month, every dollar saved feels like a gamble against tomorrow's bills. A 2024 national survey confirmed the pattern. It's finding that nearly 37% of Americans are not prepared to handle a $400 emergency expense, even as inflation rates began cooling slightly. Cooling inflation does not mean falling prices. It simply means prices are rising more slowly, and most Americans have not recovered from the damage already done. Over a third of American households, to 36%, now have more credit card debt than emergency savings. It's the highest percentage recorded since polling began in 2011. People are not falling behind because they are reckless. They are falling behind because the system they were promised to work hard and save within has fundamentally changed around them. In 2023, the average credit card interest rate hit a historic high of 22.8%. And individual credit card holders carried an average debt of $6,501 each. At that interest rate, a $6,500 balance with only minimum payments could take over 20 years to pay off. That is not a debt. That is a life sentence. More than 1 in 3 workers, to 34%, say they are living paycheck to paycheck, meaning they have little to no money left over for savings after covering their monthly expenses. And this is not just a problem for the working poor. Many of these people are employed, college-educated, and working full-time jobs. The paycheck-to-paycheck crisis has moved decisively into the middle class. The average American now feels they would need to earn over $186,000 per year to live comfortably, more than double the average full-time worker's actual salary. That gap between what life costs and what work pays is the engine driving this entire crisis, and it's only getting wider. A major consumer survey found that 64% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, at least periodically, with 46% saying they live this way all the time. Nearly half the country, all the time. Okay? with no financial cushion beneath them. Every single day is one unexpected event away from catastrophe. Across all age groups, 62% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings, and 32% have absolutely no emergency savings whatsoever. Not a single dollar set aside. No savings. None. Zero. In the wealthiest nation on earth, a third of its citizens have built no financial floor beneath their lives at all. Okay? Medical debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States and affects almost a third of all working Americans, approximately 15% of all U.S. households. The cruelest twist is getting sick in America. Something no one chooses can erase everything you ever saved or owned in a matter of weeks. Research shows that 62% of personal bankruptcies filed each year are the result of medical debt, and 56 million people struggle with medical bills annually. 56 million people. That is more than the entire population of South Korea, drowning in bills for the crime of needing medical care. Even more shocking, 11 million Americans ran up high-interest credit card debt just to pay their medical bills, turning a health crisis directly into a compounding financial disaster. These are not people making bad decisions. These are people with no good options, forced to choose between their health and their financial survival. A quarter of Americans actually skipped necessary medical care because they simply could not afford the cost, meaning the fear of debt is now actively making people sicker. People are rationing medication, skipping doctor visits, ignoring symptoms, all because a medical bill could push them over the financial edge for good. Federal Reserve data reveals a puzzling disconnect. 73% of Americans say they feel financially okay or comfortable, yet 37% cannot cover a $400 emergency. This contradiction exposes a deeply uncomfortable truth. Many Americans are surviving, but they are one bad day away from not surviving at all. Among college graduates, 87% report doing okay financially. Among those without a high school diploma, that number drops to just 47%. It's revealing massive structural inequality beneath the averages. Education, race, and zip code now predict your financial resilience more reliably than hard work or good intentions ever could. Black households hold nearly 8 times less wealth than white households, and Hispanic households hold less than 1/10 of the wealth of white households on average. The $400 emergency crisis is not hitting all Americans equally. It is landing hardest and most devastatingly on communities that were already being left behind. Beyond the numbers, 45% of Americans say their financial situation has directly affected their mental health, and 35% have put off preventive health care because of financial stress. The crisis does not stay in bank accounts. It follows people home, into their relationships, their sleep, and their sense of self-worth. Financial stress is a public health emergency that nobody is treating as one. A leading economic analyst described the situation plainly. America has become a paycheck-to-paycheck nation, with fewer people holding the equivalent of a financial safety net than ever before. The safety net did not disappear overnight. It was quietly eroded year by year through stagnant wages, skyrocketing housing costs, exploding healthcare bills, and an economic system designed to extract rather than protect. 31% of adults say they could not cover 3 months of expenses by any means at all. Not through savings, not through borrowing, not through selling anything. 3 months. That is all most experts say you need to ride out a job loss. Yet nearly a third of the country cannot even reach that minimum bar, no matter how hard they try. Nearly 6 in 10 Americans, 59%, say they are uncomfortable with their current level of emergency savings. And that figure has been rising year over year. People know they are exposed. They feel the vulnerability, okay? They just don't have the margin to fix it, because every dollar they could save is already spoken for. The $400 emergency isn't a small test of financial discipline. It is the clearest signal we have that the American financial system has left tens of millions of people behind, and the alarm bells have been ringing for years. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think wages need to rise dramatically, or is this a spending problem? Is the system broken, or are individuals making poor choices? Drop your honest opinion in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this story opened your eyes to something real, please subscribe right now. More truth-telling content just like this is on the way, and you don't want to miss it.